So, good afternoon, everyone. First, I really want to thank the president of Cibjo, Mr. Gaetano Cavalieri, and the Italian Exhibition Group for giving us this opportunity. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm more than pleased to be here with you today at Vicenza Oro to discuss a topic that is fastly and rapidly reshaping the jewelry industry. I'm Francesca Bergamaschi, Compliance and Sustainability Senior Manager at Brandart Group, and I'm pleased to moderate and to discuss such an interesting topic together with my esteemed colleagues, Carlotta Bragion, Marketing and Communication Director at Brandart, Fernanda Maria Hernandez Franco, Sustainability Director of Temera, and Michaela Maknovit, Director of Operations at Coronet. So, I would like first to start with a sentence, with an iconic sentence: a diamond is forever. This very famous advertising slogan was created by the Beers Group to contribute and to promote the long-term, everlasting, the eternity of a jewelry product. But let's shift from jewelry product to end-to-end supply chain of the jewelry industry. Let's think about temporary retail store installations, temporary pop-up store, packaging, e-commerce packaging, logistics, transport. All these kind of pillars are short-term silent emitters with a long-term impact. So, as we said, all jewelry products are made to last forever. But if we enlarge our boundaries to retail operations, let's think about the impacts, for example, water and energy consumption within productive processes. Let's think about all the weight that they had in shipping and logistics. Or even, let's think about event installations. They can last for a few days, for months, or even years. But whereas a jewelry products last forever, the impact of a temporary retail operations can impact the end-to-end supply chain of jewelry industry. So, together with my esteemed colleague, I would like to follow this topic, starting from the pillar 1, so shifting impact from products to processes. So this is the first pillar. Then we will explore together with Fernanda the traceability imperative. Then with Michaela from Coronet, it would be very interesting to understand from waste to resource and to start exploring circularity, a new way of doing circularity. And lastly, we would like to focus on pillar 4, aggregating innovations to cut jewelry retail's footprint. So, before delving deeper, it's essential up to me to clarify and better define what we mean by jewelry retail operations. Because here at Vicenza we are strongly focused on products, but I think that it's very important to get all our audience understand why when we are talking about retail operation, Carlotta, could you please, from your standpoint, explain and share to us what are the core elements that truly define retail operation in the jewelry industry?
Thank you, Francesca, and good afternoon, everyone. So I'm very pleased to give this topic a better explanation. So, as you said, we are very focused on the product, which is obvious, but we really need to understand all the other impacts of the supply chain to better focus on sustainability. When we talk about jewelry retail operations, we are talking about all of those elements that make the experience of the product even more valuable. Let's think about when a customer steps into a store and experience the purchasing experience. So we think about all of those fixtures, all of those displays that present the product and enhance the experience of the product. On the other hand, we have packaging, which, of course, as we all know very well, is the point between the consumer and the product itself. So all of these elements make the retail operations. So as Francesca anticipated, we really need to focus and think about the impacts of these operations. In order to give you some data, we have mentioned a research of the Shanghai Institute of Research that has evaluated the impact of 1 million jewelry boxes in terms of estimated CO2 emissions. We tried to bring this research further. So we thought about, and we researched about on the global impact of the jewelry boxes produced globally. And we have estimated the total impact in a number that is equivalent to 2 million cars, which is twice the cars that transit in Milan. This number is huge, and we really need to focus on that too. On the other hand, we have visual merchandising. Just think that a temporary store emits 1,000 times more than a permanent building of the same dimensions. This is because the cost of non-permanent, so temporary logistics is very, very high. This is a research of Nature. So thinking and taking this number in mind, we really need to understand that this is another point we really need to focus on.
Oh, impressive data, Carlotta. Thanks for sharing. So I would say that the challenge here is clear. How do we shift from product impact to processes innovation?
So at Brandart, our experience brought us to finalize a method that actually cuts emission in this sense. So we don't need to focus on a single process or a single product, but it's the stack that counts. So starting from this philosophy, we understand that it's sustainability by design. We need to integrate sustainability on each and every part of our supply chain, starting from design, so using LCA methodologies or eco-design methodologies. We start by ideating the product with sustainability in mind. Then we go to sourcing and compliance. There, we understand that we need to do conscious choices with certified and standardized materials and supply chains. We go on with manufacturing and assembly. We need to optimize resource and production processes. Going on, we have global logistics, where methodologies such as nearshoring allow us to eliminate completely in useless transit and useless emissions. Finally, we have end-of-life management, which is the cherry on top of the cake, let's say. So with some innovation that I will not spoil for you because we'll know about them later, we really have the chance to shift the end-of-life of product from waste to a new resource.
Perfect, Carlotta. So I would say that this brings us to the second pillar, so the traceability imperative, understanding the true impact of our operation in all their complexity. So I would ask to Michaela, looking at these different areas of impact, from supply chain visibility to brand protection to customer experience, why has traceability became a strategic imperative for luxury and jewelry today? Fernanda, sorry.
Okay, I will go for this. As you're mentioning, I think that this is an evident problem. You know, traceability is still fragmented in the supply chain. So the point is that in the jewelry, mostly the traceability goes to the gem or to the metal, but it's not the whole picture. So the point here is a challenge, you know, to trace properly from the source, the packaging, the retail, and even the after sales and the recyclability. That is a point. Of course, there are like important challenges. That is like inconsistent standards, a super complex supply chain, but also the perception that traceability is just a cost on compliance, which is no longer more. Because when you see, and mostly the consumers of luxury, they want an item that they really believe, a brand that they really believe on. So they want to know where it comes, what is the story about, and what is going to happen next. So it's very important, that is essential to unlock these perspectives to traceability. And traceability is properly the helper on the gap that could unlock this gap and help things, the business makes more clear.
Okay, so Fernanda, if I well understood, traceability we can sum up that gives us visibility and control across the value chain. So this true potential, could you please explain all these kind of impacts and the benefits and the challenges of traceability all along the value chain?
Of course, because...
From your perspective, of course, like Temera.
Okay, on our perspective, traceability is not just a compliance checkbox, as I'm saying, it's a strategic advantage because it unlocks a lot of things. For the brands, it gives the whole picture of the situation. You see from the source, you have the control and the visibility on all your value chain, which is something really important, but also unlocks a lot of things. It unlocks the brand reputation because, as you know, ESG reports and so on is kind of part of the priority of the strategy of all the brands. So how could you do an ESG report or communicate a message if it's not traceable? Something that it's not measured, you cannot really have an accurate brand reputation. And at the same time, it unlocks a lot of things. Without a consumer perception, you can unlock experience, unlock new opportunities, because with traceability, it could unlock more things. For example, the after sales, the resale, the authentication. Something that is really important in the luxury is properly that. Authentication, exclusivity, and trust. And these could not happen without traceability.
And so, Fernanda, I'm very interested in better understanding. Could you please share me more about digital product passports, so the so-called DPP? I think it's a very interesting aspect that you can share with us.
Well, digital product passport is a game changer because it's not about a database. You give the living identity to a brand and to an item. Okay, so when you have all this information to the brand, you unlock new businesses because you're speaking about opportunities of after sales and so on. But at the same time, you have a control on the visibility on your supply chain, how to impact less, how to also unlock new opportunities also on circularity. For example, I just wanted to mention, because it's really important, we are helping different, the European Commission on a project on circularity. We are part as well on the white paper on circularity on watches and jewelry initiative, which is essential because with traceability, you could unlock that. And the digital product passport creates a really important opportunity because with that, you give the opportunity to a client to be participant as well. Because when you have all this information, you can know as well, how could you resell it, recycling the information of the packaging, how could you, the end of the product, how it will be, and these information could just be unlocked through a digital product passport in a really easy way, and also really experiential way as well, because always will be linked to the right item, and you could unlock the connection with your consumer, with your client, after years, and even to new clients for secondhand as well.
Okay, it's really, really interesting, Fernanda, your perspective. Thanks for sharing. And so we could say that a fully traced supply chain unlocks a new set of opportunities. So I would shift from traceability to circularity together with my esteemed colleague Michaela from Coronet. So since Coronet, if you want to briefly explain Coronet just in a few, Coronet has made innovation in materials the core mission. So could you please explain something more about Coronet and the innovation in materials at the core of your business?
So for us, it all began with a very simple yet powerful idea. An idea that is transforming not only fashion, not only packaging, but the way the entire industry thinks about sustainability. In Coronet, the idea is that recycled is just the beginning. True circularity comes from transparency, circularity, and traceability. Nowadays, especially the youngest generation, are no longer impressed by materials being recycled. For them, that's already something granted. They have much deeper questions. Would it be something that can be reused, or will it become another trash in the landfill? That's a real important mindset shift. From waste, it has to become a new resource. And this is exactly with our product, Yatai Circular, that will really make it possible.
Okay, it's really interesting, but maybe could you please explain something more about Yatai Circular? Because not all of us will know this kind of potential, so if you can share something with us.
Yatai Circular is the next generation biomaterial, fully engineered to be 100% recyclable post-consumer.
Oh, wow.
Not in theory, but in reality. The idea is to have a material that can be fully 100% recyclable, that can be regenerated in 100%, same like virgin quality performance. Okay. It's a leather alternative that will have exactly the same premium look, hand feel, but will have a huge advantage from environmental performance point of view.
But Michela, sorry to stop you, but what really makes Yatai Circular different from the others?
So first of all, it's a material that it's a mono-component. So generally all the materials are blended together with multi-layers. Having a material engineered to be a mono-component makes recycling really possible and easy. You don't have to separate, you don't have to divide from other products. It's the material itself that can be regenerated in exactly new material with same performance and quality. The other part is the sustainability part of it. So consider if we have to look for the CO2 emissions. Today with Yatai Circular, for 1 square meter produced, we emit 1.49 CO2.
Impressive.
If we have to compare to chrome leather, vegetable leather, or even to PU, you have a huge impact. For producing vegetable leather, you will have 49 kilo of CO2 emission, or even to other fossil products, you have 8 kilo. If we have to look at the water reduction, the water, we will use 1 liter for each square meter produced, while real leather will use 121 liters of water. Beside that, on the material itself, you have no production waste. You have zero cost for management of the production waste because it can be reintegrated in the material production itself. We don't use any solvents, so there are no VOCs, no toxic emissions. We have actually dedicated a separate building to produce the material to avoid even any environmental contamination. For us, this is not just an improvement. With these numbers, you set a new benchmark. You give the materials a second life. You give the materials the possibility not to be the end of the story, but the beginning of a new production cycle.
Oh, really impressive, Michaela. Thank you very much. And as the topic today is retail operations, may I ask you your perspective and how can it be an opportunity to reduce the impact of jewelry in retail operations, really? With concrete examples.
So Yatai Circular, it's a material that matches perfectly with today's luxury consumer expectation. With its performance, elegance, and sustainability, it's the ideal solution for luxury packaging and visual merchandising. You just can imagine if you have rigid jewelry cases, it's elegant from the outside, but sustainable at its core. If you have interior pads and rubs, it's soft touch, customizable, yet fully recyclable. You have visual panels, you have pillows, you have trays. All of them have premium soft and touch look and feel, but then they can be fully recyclable. We do understand that each customer have their own DNA and their own identity. That's why a tie circular, same like real leather, can be completely customizable based on customer needs, usage, and purpose. There is absolute no limitation. It can be definitely a smooth, silky touch. It can be a leather-like grain, or even a futuristic design. We do understand that the customers today, they really don't buy just a simple product. What they want, it's a purpose for whatever they are buying. They are interested in the brands that understands and share authentic values, for what that are building together, that are looking together to have something that creates a better future for them. Yatai Circular, it's really not just the beauty, it's the purpose of the material itself. And we do believe that that's what younger generation are looking for. We believe that together we can create the luxury jewelry, the luxury packaging, not to be just a simple box, but to be a purpose of intent.
Oh, it's really, really interesting. Thank you very much, Michaela. I want to ask to Carlotta then to shift for our last pillar. I think this is the most important one because what we have shown today is that sustainability within retail operations is not driven by a single lever, but by a combined effect of many working together. So, Carlotta, from your perspective, could you please share what's the most important mission for those serving retail operations today?
Yeah, well, Francesca, you already anticipated quite properly. So it's not, as we said before, it's not the single lever. It's not. We really need to think about...
It's quite clear from our discussion.
That's it, exactly. So it's the stack that wins the race when it comes to retail operations. We really need to stop thinking about improving a single part of the process when the rest is completely, driven by unsustainable choices. So as we have seen today, we have a very important opportunity. We really can work with new technology like traceability, like digital product passport that give visibility on what happens in our supply chain and how we can react to what's happening and to the emission that we are responsible and accountable for. With innovative material, we have choices. We have choices for our product end of life. We can make it a new resource to improve our impact on the environment. So as we have seen, it's aggregating the real mission. It's finding the best partners, best solutions, and best missions to put together and drive a measurable impact on our supply chain. Data and aggregating data makes it very clear. We can cut CO2 emissions by 50%, taking these accountable choices. We can cut solid waste by 60%. And most importantly, because that's where our choices are originated from, we can have 90% visibility on the data and the information about our supply chain. And driven by that, we can make responsible choices. So it's really aggregating. It's not focusing on a single lever, but really on the full processes, on the full stack of our supply chain.
I really want to thank you because your perspectives today were really valuable. You shared with us a new way of thinking about jewelry operation, in retail operation, of course. And if I can sum up to conclude, if you don't have any other aspect to share with me, I really want to thank you because I think that the point today is that technology can really be the enabler to sustainability, to make sustainability in retail operation measurable, trackable, and operational. So I think really that this three-way operational, traceability, technology can really be the strong driver to sustainability in retail operations. So thank you very much, and look forward, every one of us, if you have any questions from the public.
It's more a comment than a question. This might sound, sorry? Yes. I just wanted to do that. It might sound like I'm in an AA meeting, but my name is Guido, and I feel very old if I hear this. I'm looking at young, intelligent people talking about things I did a PhD on 20 years ago, which is basically business process management and business process improvement. If you do that, if you look at that, you always are trying to optimize for 3 variables. It's either time, quality, or cost, right? Yeah. You can try to optimize for your cost. You will probably lose in quality, and it will take you more time. You can optimize in time, it'll cost you quality, and so on, right? Yeah, that's what you do. And what we did 20 years ago is we already looked at supply chains, but we basically stopped at the company walls, right? Yeah. Business process improvement was only done inside the company. What you're doing and what you were sharing with traceability is really the end game, because you look at the whole supply chain. And I just wanted to add that you talked a lot about marketing, how you can show to customers that your product might be more sustainable because you do that. You talked about other things as well. I think what makes it even more sexy for companies in the short run is that this can be very cost effective. This can actually, if you really apply it in the way you should apply it, it can really save you money in the middle and in the long run. And I think that's very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. That's for sure. I mean, I will open maybe the conversation with my fellow colleagues of this panel. So, of course, we have seen that non-sustainability will cost even more and more in the future. So making accountable choices today is what will optimize our efforts tomorrow, and also will improve our communication with all our stakeholders. So starting from our customers, the people we really make this for, until the real stakeholder of our company. So I think you're right. I think your comment is fit perfectly what we have said until now, and I leave the word.
If I could add something, I totally agree. I do believe that it's not an investment. It will be something because it's avoiding risks, avoiding costs, and so on. But it's also something that would unlock new business, and mostly in luxury, mostly in jewelry. And also I come from the B2C experience, and this is what a client wants now, and they just don't want to see the certificate. Who knows all the certificates, as a client? No one. But if it unlocks the possibility that you have an authenticated item that is real, and that this is yours, and you can resell it, and you can know how to recycle it, because sometimes clients they want to be participant in the sustainability path, but sometimes there's no even information on how to recycling a packaging. Yeah. So how do you do it? And start to look outside, and with the DPP, everything will come out. So it will unlock a really game changer in whole ways.
Also from my side, I totally agree, because even when we engineered our materials, we were thinking about the final customer, but also about the producer. If we think nowadays, almost 50% of the items that are bought are used like scraps in production directly, not even arriving to the finished product. With the product we engineered, it's exactly that the purpose. Even my scarves in production, I reduce the management cost, and I reutilize exactly the same material to reproduce the new material. You regenerate it, you re-include in the cycle. It's a closed loop. You don't have to go outside to make something. Being just one single component, it makes it really easy and possible. So that's the mission that we had internally.
There's another question there.
Okay, we have another question from the public.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I also want to, so my name is Ferry El-Zarouki. I'm the Chief Trade and Industry Officer at De Beers Group. And I really enjoyed watching you in this panel. It was refreshing thinking. It was solution-based, and it wasn't just theoretical. And I think all of you brought a very, very interesting view to the room. One thing that really resonated with me was that, you know, most, let's say, businesses in this industry think that mining is the problem, right?
Yeah.
And so the focus has always been mining is the problem, not us. You know, and I represent mining, also midstream and downstream, but I see that we have been working so much on our environmental impact, on our sustainability efforts, and I'm very keen to hear what others are doing down the supply chain, midstream guys and retail. And when you take a global picture and you look at climate impact or climate emissions, when you look at the locations where retail is, usually like the Western countries, versus production countries like the continent of Africa, there is a huge discrepancy, and the problem is clearly not in the producing countries. So my question to you, with your audience, as you're pitching these solutions, I'm really keen to understand how the retail sector is, I guess, welcoming your solutions, or how are they engaging with this topic? Because it would be great to get uptake, frankly, so that the full supply chain can put in the relevant efforts to actually solve this global issue. Thanks.
So I think we all have a lot to say, so please.
They are definitely actively looking into this, saying that today the retail business shift completely to this kind of vision wouldn't be correct, right? We all know that. But we have more and more brands that are looking into these solutions because the performance of it, the sustainability part of it, it's definitely what's their core mission. Maybe not in immediate 1 or 2 years, but this is also like all the carbon footprint reduction is the mission that all of us have, including the retails. So we do have customers that already shifted. We do have customers that have really big interest in the products made itself, although, as is today, definitely not of them.
On my part, first of all, thank you so much for your feedback. It's really appreciated to have. It's really interactive. And on my point of view, it's like, or how I start the question, you know, that sometimes even in jewelry, in luxury, fashion, you see just one spot, not just the whole picture. So for example, we were mentioning now the jewelry, just the metal, just the production, the mines. And what is all when you don't have the whole picture of the situation, you don't realize. And it came an example that we were discussing before. You know, for example, the retail displays, you know, of reusable displays, they could avoid a 60% of waste, you know, of solid waste. So that is traceability with impact. But you need to trace it. You need to see the whole picture. And the most important part on our perspective on traceability and tech is to see the whole thing in just one framework. Because if you see just one piece, you complex the brand's intentions to do a milestone. But if you have everything to see the end-to-end traceability and even the after-sales and recycling with just one technology, that is when a change will happen.
And Fernanda, sorry if I can. In your perspective, what is the awareness among your customers on that topic? Because it's quite a new, different way of thinking at the same thing in the jewelry industry. So the awareness, your real perspective.
Well, I do believe that the awareness is happening evidently because legislations are happening, and even if, you know, costs are meant to be, should happen because legislations are coming, but independently about the legislations of the DPP, for example, if fashion, if it will be starting from the 2027, it doesn't matter because it's the consumer that is demanding. So your final client is the one that wants all this information. It doesn't matter because you're gonna lose a big part of the cake, you know, if you don't start to do that. And also, it's not just about control and sharing information and brand reputation, which is amazing. Of course, we all agree in that situation. But it's also to unlock a new business, things are changing, gears are shifting, everything is coming digital. So now new generations, they doesn't expect to interact if it's not with technology. It should be easy, experiential, and involving, you know, to have a great experience with that. So
Totally.
That's the key. Would you like to share something, Carlotta?
Yeah, of
From
course.
your perspective at Brandart?
Yes.
As we are
I
the
would-
leader in the sector
I
in
would
retail
love
operations.
to.
So.
Yeah, totally. So I totally resonate with what you've said until now. So that's for sure a lot of elements that already actually answer the question. But what I would add is that sustainability is driven by different drivers, of course. One is legislation, as you were saying. So a lot of brands and retail operators feel the pressure of legislation and make it experience sustainability just as a mandatory process and not something that virtuously brand decide to do. Only a few brands actually virtuously make this decision. On the other hand, you have a consumer, as you were saying, that is more and more aware of the cost of retail, of products, and of everything that let's say, inhabit our day-to-day life. So this is another driver. On the other hand, you have some blocking things, for example, the cost. Because, of course, sustainability costs a lot, but it will cost less than being non-sustainable, as we were saying before. So I'd say it's a process. I'd say that going on with the years and very fastly, we will see a market that switches priorities in this sense. But as for now, like as for the sense that we have today, we really need to make the passage as smooth and as easy as possible because, of course, it contains a lot of technicalities that need specialized people to understand them and to pass them smoothly to the market. So there are a lot of elements actually, but I'd say that going on with the years, going on with the time and with the legislation and everything, we will see a switch for sure because it will be necessary for our planet as well. Yeah. We have another question.
May I ask?
Yeah, please.
My name is Estelle. I'm going to stand up so other people can see me too. The first thing I want to comment on is I'm a member of the G7's Gender Equality Advisory Council, and I'm so thrilled to see some really powerful young women here taking a lead in our sector and making a difference. So keep going.
Thank you.
I think the second thing is I've been very privileged to be part of the Cibjo delegation this year. And we had a very inspiring session this morning run by Lisa Koenigsberg here from Initiatives in Arts and Culture that spoke about preciousness. Yeah. And it made me think about some of my own jewellery that I've had made over the years that were done at the very start of when sustainability and ethics was really being explored within the jewellery world 20 years ago. And you made a point about the authenticated product and the value of the product passport. And because I've worked in designing product passports in the battery industry, I know what that value can be. But I wanted to share my own story to say why that is so powerful from a consumer perspective. And then I have a question for you on the back of that. I could pick any of these items. I'll tell you what, I'll pick my wedding ring. It was made by a brand called Fifi Bijou, who Vivienne Johnston was one of the very first ethical jewelers. It used diamonds from a cooperative in Lesotho, which was one of the first efforts to make a product claim about an ethical diamond. And I was married in 2009, so this was 2008-9 it was made. And it had gold from a project led by Thomas Siepelmeyer in Argentina called Ecoandina, which is where he was introducing methods to do cleaner production for small-scale miners in Argentina in order to reduce their environmental impact. And when Fifi made my wedding ring, I have it valued, but it has no fair trade certification. Some of my other products do, fair trade or fair mind. This was at that time on the basis of the specialness of those people and their stories and the products they were able to bring together to craft something that for me truly meant love and care. And for me, when this is valued for insurance purposes, it's just valued as if it were any other item, and it does it no justice at all. Had I had the foresight then to have taken some form of warranty or evidence basis for those aspects of the story, when my daughter or my son inherit it, it will be of greater value. But now it can't have that value because I don't have the basis for an authenticated claim on it. And what a product passport does is it means that those stories that can be authenticated can get attached to it, whether that's to do with whoever the craftsperson was or the designer was or the sustainability performance, but it gives it greater preciousness and thus it gives it greater value. And I'm curious to know the extent to which retailers really understand that potential and are working with you to push forward product passports, because they've understood that in batteries, not for the preciousness, beauty, value aspect that is more subjective like we have in our world, but from the recycling and the sustainability imperative. It's for different reasons. But because we're jewelry, we have that extra element of aesthetic and quality that sets us apart because we're part of the art world. And yeah, so I'm just curious, do retailers really understand that potential?
Well, could you repeat me your name?
Estelle.
Estelle. No, Estelle, you're saying something super interesting because I do believe, and coming, as I mentioned, from the B2C, I think that is the most powerful thing of the TPP. Besides the compliance, besides all the sustainability and everything, is probably that you give the storytelling of a product. And I think that jewelry, mostly, is something really emotional. You buy a piece because of a reason. You want it that it lasts for times. You want to give it to other generations. And of course, you want that because it's a story in it. You know, everything that happens here, I have the ring of my mom and everything, have something, and to have a story in it that is properly authenticated, and you can, not just from resell it, but because you're gonna keep it, it makes a total add value to your client. And this is something that definitely to the digital information, to the digital product passport could give a really great added value that is permanent.
Yeah.
It's paperwork.
Yes.
I think that it's starting definitely now, and I do believe that is the most important because we're speaking about jewelry. You want to have an authenticate, and there's a big, great market. Then, of course, or maybe you know, unauthorized sales that they are not happening. You can have the control as a market, but also as a client. It's a totally added value, and this could just happen through the digital product passport to connect with your customer.
Okay, any other question coming from you? Otherwise, I really thank you. Thank you to this last intervention. It was really emotional and it gave us really the key point of our panel today. So thank you very much to everyone and look forward to hearing you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.